Hi, my name is Daniel Trimble, and I'm going to be going over why we need voter ID laws. Before I can tell you why we need voter ID laws, you need to know what they are. So voter ID laws are laws that require registered voters to show some sort of proof of identification that they say who they say they are. For example, if someone goes into a polling place and says they're John Smith, but they're not John Smith, then if you don't have a voter ID law, they can still vote. There's nothing saying that they have to prove that they're John Smith. So if you have a voter ID law, they have to prove they're John Smith. So the laws vary by state. Tennessee actually has some of the strictest voter ID laws. Some states require that you have to show a government issued ID. Some states will accept college IDs and other forms of identification, and some states will even require only a utility bill or a bank statement with your current address on it. So these laws first appeared in 2006. Indiana was the first one to implement such law, and 2 years later in 2008 the Supreme Court upheld that law. So why do we need these voter ID laws? Well, first off, the Constitution, based on the language in the Constitution, says that citizens of the United States are given the right to vote. Voter ID laws such as Tennessee, you have to show a ID to go vote, and you have to prove that you're a citizen. When you go to get your driver's license, you prove that you're a U.S. citizen and you get your driver's license. That's how they make sure you're a U.S. citizen to vote. And then also to keep voter fraud in check. And so the Constitution, when the Constitution refers to any part of voting in any part of the Constitution, it always uses the language citizens of the United States. It doesn't use people, it uses citizens of the United States. So we need to know what the Constitution defines citizens as. Well, the Constitution defines citizens as all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction, therefore, are citizens of the United States and of the state they reside in. So, voter fraud. There are many different surveys on voter fraud, and you'll get many different findings according to political party and other views. A lot of them are biased both ways. But according to Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott, Texas has prosecuted over 50 voter fraud cases in recent years and said that voting ID laws are the only way to ensure a fair electoral system. And in one case in Ohio, Louise Richardson admitted to voting multiple times in the last 3 elections using different names, including her sister's name, who has been in a coma for the past decade. And she was also a poll worker in Cincinnati. And you can only see if her integrity that was way, voting that many times. She could have also let other people vote that way too. She pled guilty to that charge, and she's currently spending 5 years in prison for that. Arguments against opposers of voter ID laws call it voter suppression, and voter ID laws, they say cost too much, but driver's license, if you want to drive, you have to have a driver's license. States that require a driver's license as voter ID, you have it anyways. College IDs are free for the states that you can use a college ID. So Eric Holder, the U.S. Attorney General, has compared voter ID laws to the poll tax that was passed by many states during the Civil Rights era. And a poll tax was aimed at charging minorities a tax to vote, basically, trying to keep them from voting. And so also many opponents say that it's targeted at minorities and poor. They usually vote Democrat in an attempt to sway elections in the favor of Republicans, saying that it's racist to implement such laws. And then also many people live in rural areas and don't have access to a ID center to get an ID made. So some rebuttals to these claims. These groups that oppose voter IDs are getting away from the real issue. They're trying to make it a class and racial issue. Keep in mind that it was the Democrat Party that supported the poll tax during the Civil Rights. And these are things that you need an ID for. You need an ID to drive. Some states require an ID to carry a handgun, like Tennessee does. To get on an airplane, open a bank account, cash a check, purchase a handgun including BB guns, purchase a car or house, and purchase alcohol, tobacco products, and even lottery tickets. The list goes on and on. And if it's not racist to require ID for all of those, then why is it racist to require an ID to vote? So here's a little political cartoon. The guy goes to the bank, movie rental, bar, in an airport, and they ask him to see an ID, and he really doesn't have a problem with it. But when he goes to vote, he makes a big deal saying that they're making it too hard on him. This is the sites I got my information from. And thank you. Hope you learned something.